Hey, this is MassX with a brand new Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade video, and this is for the global version. And we got some stuff to talk about. We also got, of course, Hollow Purple Gojo coming tomorrow, or I should say actually tonight technically. I think it will be where I'm located at 11 p.m. or possibly at midnight. But either way, that's moot. We're going to talk about that character and the importance to pull on it if you are able to. But first we need to talk about all the drama. I hate this shit, honestly, but it is what it is, okay? As everybody knows, we got bombarded with the banners. There was planned review bombs, all that stuff. More power to you. Anything that you can do that's not illegal, go for it. You know, that's the point of freedom of speech. The problem I have is when people are either unruly, not courteous, or just outright stating lies. So what I did want to talk about really briefly is, because I know a lot of people just assume a lot of stuff and don't really understand the inner workings of the gaming industry, and especially when companies are more often than not located in other countries outside of specific countries like China, Korea, Japan, etc. There's a completely different philosophy there. And a lot of times when these games are ported over, there are contracts. Well, they're not. There always is contracts. And those contracts will have certain things that can and cannot be changed. And it is not uncommon when a global release happens that certain things can't be changed. And if they are going to be changed, it usually 99.9% of the time happens at the time the game comes out globally. So let's say pity in Japan was 250 or 200, and in global, when they release it, you notice it's 150. Well, that means that was pre-negotiated prior to anything. You generally will not see those terms ever change after the inception of a game. They would have to either amend the contract, something would have to occur to allow that legally, okay? It's just how it works. For instance, Heaven Burns Red, a game I play and absolutely love. In Japan, the pity was higher in Japan than it is in global. That was a pre-negotiated and done at the time of release of the game. That game is also started much further ahead than the original version did, but they handled it much differently. What they did was they picked a version of release to put out. They picked a certain amount of events and characters to release, period, on day one. You may like it, you may not. They just didn't do massive banner drops condensed over 2 months. There's different ways this can be handled, but the point is this is pre-negotiated prior to a release of the game. So, for instance, and the point of me saying this is, I keep seeing a lot of people just going, the pity has to change, pity has to change, pity has to change. It has always been 250 in Japan. I will lay money that in the agreement between Bilibili and the original developers, whatever entity has been licensed this to move it, because I'm sure there's more than one entity that we even know about, because that's how it's worked. It would state certain things that can and can't be changed, certain things that have to be followed. So the likelihood of that pity changing is so low. I just want people to have realistic expectations. It was an issue in Japan, and they finally then released the tickets that at some point we will get globally. They should have done that, quite honestly, day one here, because if they had these plans to release these banners this quickly, they probably should have implemented that. It would have put the sting down a little bit, but not nearly as much as people would probably think. And my point, again, is I just want people to be realistic in what can and can't be done, and don't just bag on particular people. The moderators have nothing to do with this. They can only try their best. I've been a moderator. I am still currently, and I can tell you it's like talking to a wall 90% of the time. And once in the blue moon, something gets through, great. But most of the time, if the game manager decided that, then it usually sticks. And that's where the biggest problem usually lies in these games, is the game managers for these are not usually properly experienced in the differences in economies and areas, okay? So someone that specializes in one country, certain countries don't work the same way economically when it comes to all different industries, and that includes mobile gaming. It's usually those individuals or somebody that is above them and they're just a shill, let's be honest, for somebody else that has even less experience and can care less, that makes a lot of these decisions. And these decisions, again, I repeat, are usually made before the agreement signed and locked in stone. Now there's going to be leeway, okay? And there always is. And they may have leeway on which characters come out, how quickly, the banners, you know, certain characters may have to be delayed a certain amount of time, etc., etc. But a lot of this stuff is just how it is on day one. So don't want to discourage people. You should always use your voice, but I also want people to be realistic, okay? This game, okay, is a PvE game and collector. It doesn't have PvP. It doesn't have guilds, okay? This is how it was built since day one. That type of model works very well in some areas of the world. And I'll be honest, people in the United States and some other countries are very impatient at times. And if it's not how they expect it, they think something's wrong. And that's not the case, because you're getting something that's developed in another country for another place. And a lot of times they're not even considering where it may port to at some future occasion. So again, I just want people to keep their, their thoughts, their feelings, but have realistic estimations, okay, of what may or may not occur. Now, throw that all aside. So we had the review bombing. Will it work? I'll be honest with you, probably not. It happens. We'll see. But luckily, we clearly seem to have some people that can at least reach out to their contacts and have tried incredibly hard to try to make some things heard. So we do know now that we will not be seeing, okay, like Team Gojo this month, or Toji, which was, I know now, a new big worry. Does that mean they won't come out in January, February, March, or April? No, it doesn't. And given the track record we've already seen, most likely they are going to come sooner than 6 months from inception. They've already proven that, so we know that's going to happen. The question is going to be when and how are they going to divvy it up? Because there's a lot of banners that just quite simply are bad the first 6 months of this game. A lot of those banners could be brought in and thrown out. They could be the spacing between characters that are better that they might want to bring sooner, and that would alleviate a lot of the pain. So fingers crossed on that one. We've also been told there is going to be some sort of reward, something on the 6th. I know they're going to play this off as probably part of Gojo's birthday, whatever it is, who cares? Question is what? We don't know what. We don't know if it's just cubes, how much. I've said since day one, the only way you're going to really rebuild goodwill was if just out of nowhere in everybody's mailbox was one copy of Hollow Purple Gojo, period, end of story, nothing else said. If you did that, I think that's a fair shake, because that's the only character out of these banners announced for this month that is absolutely a must pull. Will it happen? I'm not holding my breath. Would it be the smart thing to do? if they can, under their contract, legally provide a resource such as a character, great. The question is, we don't know their contracts. We don't know what they can and can't do. And in the end, we know nothing until it happens. But in a perfect world, that's what it would be. But why is Hollow Purple Gojo so important? Well, first off, it really is your best option for green DPS. And if you've been playing Tower, you know 21, 22, 23, 24, etc., where if you don't have a solid green DPS, it's very difficult and you have to get tricky, and it sometimes can take you hours of trying different things to just get the right RNG to win. This will, of course, help. I'm not saying we don't have any, but nothing to the quality of this particular Gojo, okay? Getting that green will just help out immensely. They roll him as a debuffer. Tokyo Jujutsu High Official is his affiliation. His characteristics, similar to the other one, he leaves the field after 7 turns. When Black Flash is performed, he increases his own crit rate, which is awesome. And his kit, okay? You can handle it right. That is the first skill. At level 1, it does 280.7% melee taijutsu damage to the selected enemy. Critical hit chance is great. It decreases the selected enemy's taijutsu damage by 15% and decreases the selected enemy's jujutsu damage by 15%. And at level 10, that melee taijutsu damage goes to 421.1%. Okay? Pretty good for that skill 1. His skill 2, Composure of the Strong, increases the selected enemy's damage received by 23.7% for 2 turns. It increases the selected enemy's damage by 10% 1 turn disadvantage and increases own damage by 54.8%. And at level 10, that damage received goes to 30%. That selected enemy's damage stays at 10% for that 1 turn disadvantage, and the increase of own damage goes to 70.1%. Again, really good stuff. The skill 3, Let's Start With You. At level 1, increases own break damage by 100% 1 time. Deals 222.0% range jujutsu damage to the selected enemy, 4 hits, and decreases the selected enemy's damage by 10.5%. At level 10, increases own break damage by 100%, deals 362.4% range jujutsu damage to the selected enemy, and decreases the selected enemy's damage by 15%. All 3 skills solid. And then the ultimate. It's short and sweet and to the point. At level 1, it deals 1000% range jujutsu damage to all enemies. At level 10, that goes to 1999.0%. It also decreases all enemies' ultimate count gauge by 2 and leaves field. Awesome ultimate. The combo with the ultimate effect increases own combo allies' critical hit rate by 40% for 3 turns and deals 100% jujutsu damage to all enemies. Really good stuff. Now the auto skills. Strategic Retreat. At the start of battle, grants Strategic Retreat status to self 7 turns. Strategic Retreat status. Once Strategic Retreat status expires, leaves the field. And of course, he's got Limitless Technique at the start of battle, grants attack immunity to self. Just again, a superior character. I've said this before, there's not a lot of characters that you should always pull on in this game. And quite honestly, there isn't a Gojo that you shouldn't, okay? He is every version of him that good. And the newest one for first anniversary is absolutely busted. The Teen Gojo that comes out next, absolutely busted. those two make the hollow purple gojo and the original blue gojo not look as good, even though they're freaking good. But yeah, if you can, you should be trying to attempt to pull on this banner. This character will make your life easier. Not only in tower, in every aspect of the game. He's just an absolutely solid character. But if you've got the original gojo, the blue one, then you already know how good that character is. This one's a little better. Each one gets better. All I can say, it's just crazy how good they make the gojos. So, needless to say, the character's a moneymaker, so they're gonna make sure people want that character. On top of the fact of just fan service, the character is always a good character. At least to this point in time in the game in Japan, they haven't made a bad gojo yet. So, sorry about the rambling at the beginning. I just really, hope people's expectations are really grounded. And you know what? I say this in every game I play. If you don't like how the game's going, stop playing. Nobody's forcing you to play, okay? And I mean that respectfully because it's a game. If you're not getting enjoyment out of it, if you don't like aspects of it, be it the game itself, be it management, anything, move on. Games are a dime a dozen these days. You literally freaking can close your eyes, open them up, spin the wheel, and then there's 3 new games. I mean, it's just crazy. We've just had Girls Frontline 2 drop, which has turned out to be a much bigger surprise for me. I played the CM version when it originally came out and wasn't really thrilled with it. I think this past year, they've really done a lot with the game. You've got another game I mentioned earlier, Heaven's Burn Red. Great game if you like story-based games. I mean, they're all over the place. You've got the hype going on for Infinity Nikki coming out literally on the 6th. There's just so much there and out there to offer. Not only that, just the ones in the last few months. I mean, we've seen some very good games and some games treated with a lot more respect than others by their game managers and the companies. So, you know what? There's always something else out there. So don't waste your time if you're just not happy. Find something else. It's that simple. And if you don't, and you're just, because this is the only true licensed offering for JJK that's out there, then you know what? Then just understand the game was built this way in Japan. We may see some changes, we may not. There's not much we can do about it. In the end, we can try, you can voice your opinion, you can, stop spending, you can limit your time in the game, because quite honestly, in-game time is also another means of monetization. So even though you may be free to play, the more time you spend in the game, it gives them more revenue and other streams. So keep that in mind. So yeah, I mean, you can only do so much. And if at the end of the day, you're still not happy, then maybe it is time to move on. I'm not going to be a shill for this game. I enjoy it. I've been playing the Japanese version since it came out. But I'll be honest, man, they made some stupid moves. And I don't see this game going anywhere because the IP is too strong. But yeah, just because a game doesn't have aspects that require free to play, such as PvP in particular, to keep your whales interested in guilds, it doesn't mean though you have to completely disregard every sect besides your true spenders, and that is disrespectful. But hey, I don't own the company, so that's just my thoughts. So if you can, pull Gojo. It's really worth it. This is one you should not skip. So with that, as always, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Have a great day.